In ancient Greek mythology, there is a story almost everyone believes. Medusa was a horrifying monster. Snake hair, eyes that turned men to stone. She had to be destroyed. The hero killed her. Order was restored. The story ended. Or did it? What if I told you that the so-called monster who was beheaded had done nothing wrong? Today, we are reopening this case, and the defendant in the dock is not Medusa. It is the goddess of wisdom herself, Athena. Before the story begins, we need to meet someone. Her name was Medusa. She was not born a monster. In the earliest versions of this myth, she was an ordinary woman, beautiful, devout, a priestess who served in Athena's own temple. She gave her entire life to honoring the goddess. Then came the day that changed everything. Poseidon, god of the sea, forced his way into the sacred temple, and there, inside Athena's own sanctuary, he violated her. A priestess, assaulted in the very place she had sworn to protect. And then, Athena appeared. But she didn't come with protection. She didn't come to punish Poseidon. She came with punishment for Medusa. The goddess twisted her hair into serpents, turned her eyes into weapons of stone, transformed her into the most feared creature in the world. And finally, a hero named Perseus, armed with a mirrored shield, cut off her head. That is the version mythology gives us. But mythology has always been written by the victors. Let's start with the traditional view. The argument goes, Medusa was dangerous. After her transformation, she lived at the edge of the known world. Anyone who came near her was turned to stone. Innocent travelers, wandering soldiers, no one was spared. Her mere existence was a catastrophe, and some say Athena's rage was justified. In certain versions of the myth, the encounter between Poseidon and Medusa is described as mutual. The temple was defiled, that's a fact. Whatever the cause, the sanctity of the sacred space was gone. As the temple's patron goddess, Athena had every right to respond. And after her transformation, Medusa did cause countless deaths. So the hero who killed her was delivering justice. The world requires order. Dangerous forces must be eliminated. This is the traditional logic. And honestly, it almost sounds reasonable. But we've missed something important. Now, let's look at this from a different angle. I want to ask you something. If a woman was assaulted inside a church and the priest threw her out saying, "You have defiled this holy place," what would you think of that? That is Medusa's story. She did not choose for Poseidon to enter. She did not invite anyone. She was simply there. And yet Athena punished her. Why not punish Poseidon? Because Athena couldn't touch him. Poseidon was one of the 12 Olympians, a ruler of the seas. She had no power, and perhaps no courage, to hold him accountable. So she directed her rage at the only person she could punish, Medusa. Think about what Athena took from her. Everything. Her appearance, her identity, stripped from priestess to monster. Her right to exist among human beings. Feared, despised, driven to the edge of the earth. And then Athena went further. She helped Perseus hunt Medusa down. She gave him the mirrored shield. She guided him. She personally participated in the kill, not punishing the perpetrator, but helping the world erase the woman whose existence had become an inconvenience. Athena is the goddess of wisdom and justice. But in this story, every single choice she made served power, not fairness. She turned a victim into a monster, then used the label of monster to justify her execution. This is not justice. This is killing the victim twice. I want you to stop and imagine not as an observer, but as Medusa herself. You have lived your entire life inside the temple. You have given everything to your faith. And then, in the most sacred place you knew, you were violated. You believed the goddess would protect you. After all, it was her temple. You were her priestess. But she looked at you, and then she punished you. Your hair began to writhe. Your eyes became every person's nightmare. You became something you no longer recognized. You had no one to turn to, because anyone who came near you would die. That itself was the curse placed upon you. You lived alone and died alone, and your death was celebrated as a hero's triumph. Now let's return to reason. This story was never about a monster. It was always about power. In the world of Greek mythology, the rules were simple. The will of the gods is the law. What gods do is called divine will. What mortals do is called sin. What crime did Poseidon commit? By the logic of this system, almost none. Because he was a god. He had that power. And Medusa's only crime? She was the weakest person in the room. Athena's choices reveal a brutal truth about power structures. The justice does not always stand with the victim. It stands with whoever is stronger. She punished Medusa not because Medusa was guilty, but because Medusa could be punished. This is not a uniquely ancient Greek problem. When we call someone a monster, are we describing an objective danger? Or are we describing a label that our own narrative has constructed? Who made Medusa into a monster? Not Poseidon, the force that was supposed to protect her. Now, let's reach a verdict. Medusa did cause real harm. Countless people were turned to stone by her gaze. But she never chose to become what she became. Athena is the mythological symbol of justice. But in this case, she chose power over fairness. She didn't protect the victim. She turned the victim into the world's enemy. So who is the real villain? Perhaps the greatest evil came not from Medusa's eyes, not from Athena's anger, but from the narrative system that turns victims into monsters. From the logic of power that equates can be punished with should be punished. This story ended 2,000 years ago, but the problem it describes is still happening today. So now the question is yours. In this story, who is the real villain? A. Athena. B. Poseidon. C. The world itself. If this video said something you've always wanted to say, share it with someone. See you next time.